Everybody talks about cameras, lenses, lighting, drones, how to get cinematic shots, but almost nobody talks about the business side of video production. And honestly, that's the part that will either help you to grow or cause you to completely burn out. Because being good with a camera is one thing, but running a profitable video production business is a completely different skill. Today, I want to talk about the business side of video production that people don't always see. The quoting, the deposits, the client expectations, the late payments, the scope creep, how to frame and get your point across in emails, the pressure to prove your value, the reality of trying to build a sustainable business in this industry. Now, let me be real with you. I have struggled with almost all of these things, and what I'm going to share today, hopefully, will help you to avoid some of those pitfalls and maybe improve your processes. One of the first things I had to learn is that talent alone won't get you there. You can be a great shooter, you can have great editing skills, all the fancy titles and transitions. You can know how to light a scene, you can walk into a room and know how to make it look cinematic. But if you don't understand business, you can still struggle. You can be busy every week and still not profitable. You can have clients calling you all the time and still feel like you're barely keeping up. And that's because video production is not just creative work. It's project management, it's sales, it's customer service, it's budgeting, it's operations, it's logistics, it's marketing, it's managing so many different people's expectations. And sometimes it's managing your own emotions when things don't go how you expected. One of the hardest parts of business is pricing. Because when you're starting out, you often price based on fear. You're afraid the client will say no, you're afraid someone else will get the job, especially when your bills are due, and you're afraid you'll lose the opportunity. A lot of times we quote lower so we can get our foot in the door, and we get in the door, and now we're under pressure because the clients still expect professional results. Your equipment still costs money, your cards still fail, prices of SD cards are going up, your time still has value, transportation costs are going up, your assistant or crew still has to be paid, the editing softwares or music licensing softwares, those still need to be paid. And the job that looked good at first starts to feel like a burden. So the one lesson I've learned is this: don't just price the shoot. Price the full project, the full responsibility, the planning, the gear, the setup, the backups, the editing. Incorporate all those, the revisions. You definitely need to bear those things in mind. You definitely have to bear the delivery software, whether you're going to be using Frame.io or WeTransfer or Dropbox or whatever it is. You have to put the whole experience in it, because the client is not just paying for the final video, they're paying for you to carry the responsibility of making sure the project is done properly. Another thing people don't always talk about is deposits. A deposit is not just about getting the money early. It's about commitment. It protects your time. It protects your calendar. It helps you to prepare properly. And it kind of separates the serious clients from the people who just kind of thinking about it. Because in production, once you block a date, that date is no longer available for someone else. So once you block a date for this client, you're saying no to someone else. You can start planning, you can start storyboarding, scripting, coordinating crew, prepping gear, cleaning gear, renting gear, and you may even turn down a better offer. So if there's no deposit, there's no real confirmation, there's no commitment. That might sound strict, but it's necessary. You can still be respectful, you can still be professional, but you have to protect the business. And I'm not saying to be stiff. Sometimes things are a little bit rushed, a little bit last minute, a little bit, and honestly, To be honest, the clients that are most last minute are usually the ones who give the most trouble, especially when it comes to paying. So bear in mind that a deposit is important. Whether you want to do 50%, 25%, 75%, I find that about 50% is sort of industry standard, and it's what helps me to feel sane, and it's usually enough to get the project moving and get the project to completion, and then you can get paid upon delivery. However you want to do it, just make sure you have some form of commitment from the client. Usually a deposit's the best way to go. Scope creep. The client asks for one video, then they ask for a shorter version, then they ask for a vertical version, and then they ask if you can do a couple photos or if you can add a different song, and then they're asking you for raw footage, and then they're asking you for extra revisions, and then they're asking you for, hey, can we rush this and get it turned around in 24 hours? And none of that was included in the original quote, in the original preparation. The problem is, if you don't define the scope clearly up front, everything becomes just one more small thing. And all those small things add up. They add time, they add pressure, they add cost, they add being late on other projects, and they can turn a profitable job into a very stressful one. So now I try to be clearer from the beginning. I try to have things in writing. I try to get a contract, what's included, how many videos, how long will the final edit be, how many revisions are included, if we want raw footage, what the cost for that will be, if there's an additional photography, if you want an additional camera angle, or if you want different formats, vertical or not. Is travel included? Is extra crew included? Is parking included? Is meals included? The clearer you are up front, the less confusion you will have later. Trust me. A lot of clients only see the camera. They don't always see the preparation behind the scenes. They don't see the charging of the batteries. They don't see the cleaning of the equipment, the packing of the bag, formatting memory cards, checking camera settings, packing lights, testing gear, testing the backups, making sure all the cables are working, because one HDMI cable can really stress you out. Showing up on a shoot without a memory card can really stress you out. I mean, that can almost ruin the shoot. But the storage devices, the editing, the rendering, the licensing of music, the licensing of the softwares that you use, the revision, the years of honing your craft, getting better. Part of our job as production professionals is to educate clients without making them feel foolish. Sometimes a client is not trying to disrespect your price or your experience. They simply don't understand what goes into the work. That is why the way you explain your value matters. Instead of only saying that this is the cost, explain what the cost covers. Explain the process, explain the outcome, explain the risks you may be helping them to avoid. Because for an event, a conference, an AGM, or a corporate video, there's no second chances. If you've done wedding, you know there's no second chances. If the audio fails, that moment is gone. If the live stream drops, the audience misses it. If the interviews are badly lit or poorly recorded, the brand suffers. So the value is not just in showing up with a video camera. The value is having it done properly. Another part of the business that people don't talk about enough is late payment. Late payments affect real people. They affect cash flow, they affect your ability to pay your crew, they affect your ability to maintain equipment, they affect your ability to pay for the software, to make sure that you are professional. Your email domain, your website, your editing software. Sometimes as creatives we feel uncomfortable chasing money, but we have to. We don't want to seem difficult, we don't want to damage your relationship, but the reality is business has to be respected on both sides. If the work was delivered professionally, payment should be handled professionally. And that's why terms matter, invoices matter, payment schedules matter, contracts matter, and communication matters. You don't have to be aggressive, but you do have to be firm. Because if you don't take your business seriously, it becomes easy for other people to not take it seriously either. One thing I wish more people understood is that every job has hidden costs. It's not just the hours you're physically on location. It's not just the time you show up with your camera. It's the pre-production. There's travel, there's setup time, there's teardown time, there's equipment wear and tear. There's insurance, whether that's transportation insurance, whether that's insuring your equipment, purchasing storage, purchasing software, making sure you have great internet. There's administration stuff, there's follow-up calls, there's revisions, there's unexpected delays. There are prices of things going up, fuel going up, and even storage because of the whole, I don't know what's causing AI or wars or whatever it is, but when someone says it's only a 2-hour shoot, that's not the full picture. The shoot may be 2 hours, but the job may take 2 days, 3 days, or even more, depending on what's required. That is why pricing only by the hour can sometimes be dangerous. You do have to look at the full project, what it's going to cost you, and what you're not seeing. A hard lesson in business is learning when to say no. Not every job is a good job. Not every client is for you. Not every opportunity is worth chasing, and it's a lot of times, sometimes not worth the stress. Sometimes the budget is too low. Sometimes the expectations are too high. And sometimes maybe the scope is higher than you can handle. Sometimes the timeline is unrealistic. Sometimes the communication is already showing red flags. And when you're trying to grow, it can be hard to turn work away. Obviously, you want as much money as you can. You have bills to pay. If you got kids, you got to take care of that. But saying yes to the wrong job costs you more than saying no. It can cost you your time. It can cost you your money, your energy, your confidence. It can even affect how your brand shows up. And it can also sometimes take you away from better clients. So part of becoming better in the business is learning to protect your capacity. For a long time, many creatives measure success by how busy they are. But busy doesn't always mean profitable. Busy does not always mean healthy. Busy does not always mean sustainable. You can be booked and still be broke. You can be working every weekend and still falling behind. The real goal is not to just have more jobs. The goal is to build a business that can serve clients, that can pay people properly, that can maintain equipment, that can make profit, that can still allow you to have a life, still allow you to play with your kids, still allow you to go on vacation with your spouse. There's so many things that is required from you to have a life, and it doesn't bode well if you're always booked but not seeing the profits. It takes structure, it takes discipline, it takes better systems, it takes the courage to charge properly. That's one of the things that has I've really had to grow into. So when people look at video production from the outside, they may just see the creative side. They just see the cameras, they just see the lights and your gear and the final video. They see you on set. But behind all of that is a real business with real business costs, with real pressure, with real responsibility, with real brand image, with real value. So whether you're a client hiring a production team or a creative trying to build your own business, remember this: the video is only the final product. The real work is everything it takes to get there, and that part deserves to be respected too. If this gave you a different perspective on the business side of video production, leave a comment. Let me know what part stood out to you, and if there's anything I missed that you think is important. I'd love to hear what your business has taught you, what lessons you've learned, and how we can help the community to grow.